Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy November 17th, 2025. Can anybody get a freaking stop? Oh my God. I just watched the games again this morning, USF and the Buccaneers, and I'm just watching the offense for Navy and watching the offense for Buffalo just go up and down the field. And holy shiitake mushrooms, Batman. What the hell is going on? Not good at all. Not even close to a victory Monday, regardless of what has happened on the USF men's basketball side or the Lightning splitting the games on the weekend. Sorry, not a victory Monday after what we just watched on Saturday and Sunday afternoon with USF and the Buccaneers. Get here, because we're going to break it all down for you today on the program. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. There is plenty to get into today. We'll talk with our guy Ian Beckles at 12:30 as well. We'll talk Bucks. We'll talk USF. We'll talk Lightning. The elite in the NFL pulling away. Also, why the SEC still runs college football. And then everything else that was going on this weekend too, including a dynamite UFC card and just a lot to get into on the program today. Follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube. We're getting closer and closer to the goal of 2,000 by the end of the year. Do whatever you can. Share it. Let your mailman know, your dentist know, your wife's eyelash person, anybody. Let everybody know out there to subscribe to the Recher podcast right here on YouTube. But if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, I appreciate you. Everybody kill that like button right now if you can. And if you want to chime in and you want to join us via the video call, you could be on the phone or on the laptop. Just click on this link right here, streamyard.com/EEXHFM49CX. Just click on the link in the chat and you could join us. Wow. Just wow. As if it wasn't bad enough to watch Josh Allen score 6 touchdowns yesterday. I did it again today. Just because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. But I didn't miss anything. I didn't. Janet Best, icky game results. Elisa Lightning won down south. Silver Lining Baker looked like a Baker. So bummed. This is Rolly. So bummed about USF. Terrible Tampa Bay sports weekend all around. At least I had some good shows. Great to hear, Rolly. Love to see that for you. CJ Hull, what an absolutely terrible weekend of sports. Just got awful. Luckily, the Bolts managed an impressive win in Sunrise to salvage it. You're not wrong there. And listen, we're not even going to mention what happened yesterday at Benchmark International Arena because, I'm just listening. They're up 2-0, and then they just completely ran out of gas. They had so many guys that were out. Back on the practice ice today in Brandon. Yesterday, I'm writing that off. It is what it is. And shout out, listen, the only way we're going to keep this program rolling is by our sponsors, our partners here, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, and Never Health, and our super chats like our guy, Eddie. J-Fam, first congrats on your Bolts beating my Cats in first meeting. What happened to the Bucks? Heat will beat your Knicks. Happy Thanksgiving, fam. I appreciate you. Glad I was busy and didn't actually watch the Bolts, but Dave and Phil were incredulous, unraveled, as Dave put it. Yeah, they ran out of steam. They unraveled. No doubt about it. But listen, out of all the things that happened this weekend, what happened yesterday for the Tampa Bay Lightning is so, far down what happened and what is on the forefront of my brain right now after watching those performances from the Buccaneers and the Bulls on Sunday and Saturday, respectively. And we'll get to the Bulls conversation at 1 o'clock today. But this first hour of the program is dedicated completely to our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And again, questions, comments, concerns, put them there at the bottom of the screen. And again, share this on all of your social media platforms as well. I want to hear from you guys. Your biggest concern. My biggest concern with this team is that the Buccaneers did not do nearly enough to fortify this defensive line. And you can say whatever you want about the coaching. You can say whatever you want about the secondary. But Josh Allen going into that game yesterday was sacked 20 times. I think he was sacked 19 times all of last year. I think that's what they said in the broadcast. 0 sacks yesterday. 0 sacks. 0. And for all the bullshit that everybody keeps talking about, pressure this, pressure that, pressure D's nuts. This pressure ain't doing shit. Your defensive line needs to get to the quarterback without the assistance of an exotic blitz from Todd Bowles. All this talk about Yaya Diaby, this is the year. Everybody wants to get so bold in the beginning of the season. This guy's going to be a 10-sack guy. That guy's going to be a 10-sack guy. Get the hell out of here. Hassan Reddick wasn't beating down the door when he was here. Yeah, it'd be great to have him back, but that defensive line is putrid. You can't expect any secondary. I don't care what cornerbacks and safeties you have out there. Nobody's going to be able to cover for that long if your defensive line, your D-line, ain't doing jack shit. Awful. Absolutely terrible in that game yesterday. Where is Yaya Diaby? Where? Anthony Nelson, play him more. That's all everybody kept saying. Play him more after what happened in New Orleans. Look at what Anthony Nelson's done the last 2 weeks. Jack shit. Nada. It's so strange how we thought that this was, not we, but there's no way the Buccaneers could have thought that that's enough. I don't understand. I don't understand how you can go into this season and think David Walker, Hassan Reddick, fine, and then don't make a move at the deadline. And we talk about, well, they value their draft picks. That's great. But you want to be that team that consistently looks towards the future instead of addressing what's going on right now. You know what you turn into? The Tampa Bay Rays. Does anybody want the Buccaneers to operate like the Rays? No, sir. No, sir. Elijah Roberts has been good. Really good draft pick. I get that. But every once in a while, you got to go out and get a commodity. You got to go get a guy that can change the game singularly by himself. That defensive line is putrid. You got ran all over on the ground yesterday. You couldn't get to the quarterback. 0 sacks once again. And then we'll go back to everyone. Well, they're getting pressures. Look at their pressure percentage. God, that's such a lame freaking way to look at it. Ugh. No pressure, my ass. Come on. What are we doing when we're watching this team play yesterday? My goodness. And obviously it falls on Todd Bowles too. Because remember, I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, Todd sucks. He's the problem. Bro, I mean, it's his fault too. Because he's in charge of the defense. And I'm sick and tired of watching Anthony Nelson and Yaya Diaby. You can't rush with 4. Why the hell are those guys dropping into coverage? How smart is that? Knowing that if you don't have a play where you're getting to the quarterback quickly, that those guys are going to be stuck in coverage, especially along the sidelines. Knowing that Josh Allen, probably better than any other quarterback in the game, extends plays. He extends plays. That's why I don't know if you can necessarily blame. I mean, I guess you can because it is everybody's fault. But as far as just like looking at the secondary, just the secondary, they can't cover everybody forever. And if you ask anybody that has any inkling about football, they'll tell you that the pass rush and the pass coverage work in concert. They work together. So you can't just sit here and put all the blame on the pass coverage and the secondary guys when they're not getting home. Now, with that being said, does Zion McCollum need to be better? 1,000%. Does a guy like Benjamin Morrison, or he's a first-round pick. He hasn't played very well at all this entire season. Jamel Dean gets hurt with a hip injury. Now you guys wonder why Jamel Dean, and they're splitting time. Yes, I'm sure it's a business move as well, but he's also got a propensity of getting injured, like he did again. It doesn't help when that guy's on the sideline. I look at this defense. That's not a Super Bowl winning defense. It's just not. It is not by any form or fashion. And All right, you're banking on Kalijah Kancey to come back. He's not a 10-sack guy either. You're waiting for Jamel Dean to come out. Like, that defense is that's the scary thing about this entire thing is that this defense is what it is. Your offense could get better. You get guys back. Okay, you still put up 30 yesterday. They did enough. Yeah, the Baker interception hurt. Yeah, I don't love the Josh. Like, you're running the football all over the place with Rachaad White and Sean Tucker. How come you get into 2-point situations and you throw the football in the end zone? What kind of sense does that make? Josh Grizzard still needs to continue to get better. Sean Tucker, Rachaad White, other than the interception, I thought Baker Mayfield, the offensive line, the way they ran the football, improvement there. But the scary thing about the Buccaneers is that the defense, it is what it is. The cavalry isn't coming. You ain't getting Trey Hendrickson now. You're not getting Max Crosby now. You're not going to take Simeon Rice off the field during his Ring of Honor ceremony and say, go suit up and go rush the quarterback. Because I'm telling you right now, Simeon Rice, Shaq Barrett, somebody, anybody is better than the guys they have right now rushing the passer. We get into this habit of sports where it's like, this guy sucks no matter what, or this guy's great no matter what. There's no gray area. So if you sit here and you criticize a guy like Jason Light, you think he sucks and he did a bad job. Not at all. If you think that Todd Bowles and his defense needs to get better, you think he needs to be fired. Not at all. But there has to be some semblance of accountability here. The fact that Jason Light did not address this pass rush after the Hassan Reddick move and after the David Walker injury, it's a misstep. We're not saying mortgage the future. You got to do something. Throw numbers at the situation. Go get two guys. I know he's, obviously, a Joe Tryon-Shoyinka type. Not going to get him. There's got to be somebody a little bit better out there. Spin the tires on somebody. Anybody. There's nobody out there you could have got for a 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick. I don't care who you got. That's going to help you in a few years in 5th or 6th. You need guys right now. Mike Evans, Levante David, they're not going to be here very long. How open is that window? We don't know. Right now, this is a team that's probably going to win the division by fault. So you have an opportunity to make the playoffs. Shit, man, make a goddamn push. No push whatsoever. We're in the middle of the swoon once again. And I didn't think I was going to be so agitated. But it's just the fact how they lost that bothers me. Again, it's the same thing with USF. It's not that they lost. It's how they lost. Once again, not getting to the quarterback. Oh, my God, my brain hurts going back to watch it again today. And everybody's going to sit here and tell me how great of a player Yaya Diaby is. He's so awesome. Anthony Nelson, just play him more. Do you guys watch the freaking games? The only way that this team is getting sacks is if somebody up the middle does something, or an exotic blitz package where Savassi is coming, or Levante is coming, or Jacob Parrish, or Antoine Winfield Jr., something like that. That's the only way that you're going to get pressure on the quarterback. Yeah, keep that. That'll work. That'll work. That'll work against mediocre teams. That shit ain't going to work against good teams. Hell sure ain't going to work against great teams. Not with quarterbacks like Josh Allen. Not going to happen. Now, you look at also what happened in the special teams yesterday. The decision to keep kicking. I'm not one of those people that calls for people's jobs, but I am surprised that Thomas McGahee, the special teams coach for the Buccaneers, is still employed. You can't tell me, you can't give me a good reason why that dude still has a job with the Buccaneers, other than the loyalty of Todd Bowles. Because we talked about it earlier on this season with the block kicks, with the lack of coverage. And now we get an opportunity yesterday where every single time the Buccaneers kick off after scoring and gaining momentum, you have to cringe. You have to hold your breath because you know they're about to give up a big return. We laud the Buccaneers for all the great things they do with their leadership and not cracking and not having any dissension. But the one thing we are looking at right now is accountability. Things happen. People pay the price. There are repercussions for your action in this life, in this world that we live in, and especially in sports. I don't quite understand how this guy still has a job. I don't understand. If the Buccaneers are looking and they improve over the rest of this season, then hey, good for them. But you can't possibly tell me that special teams play is acceptable if you're a team that has lofty aspirations to go deep into the postseason. And watching back again, because I wanted to watch specifically what was going on in situations. You know what was happening in those situations? It was Deion Jones missing a tackle. It was Chris Braswell missing a tackle. Guys just absolutely whiffing. No gap contained, no nothing. So yes, the coaches deserve blame, but it's on the players too. What the hell is Chris Braswell doing? We saw more from Joe Tryon-Shoyinka than we did from Chris Braswell. Think about that. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is one of the worst draft picks we've seen in the last decade, and even he made plays on special teams. Chris Braswell has been an absolute bust for the Buccaneers. Terrible. Absolutely putrid. Not good. Not good at all. So when you watch this team, do you think that they are going to go into LA next week and beat the Rams? Honestly, I don't think so. You watch what the Rams did yesterday in that game against Seattle, an NFC West showdown. And the Rams hung on, and the Seattle did everything they could. They battled out of their own end zone to give Jason Myers an opportunity to be able to kick that field goal. And they just came up a little short. But you look at the Rams and the way that they put their team in a position to succeed. And it's just a well-coached team. And they execute what the coaches ask. We just don't see that with the Bucs sometimes. And that's what's nerve-wracking. And I've been staunch in defense. Robert, give me a shout back at 1 o'clock, bro, if we're talking USF. All right, buddy? Because we're just talking Bucs right now. I love you, buddy. Appreciate you tuning in. I have defended Todd Bowles. I will defend Todd Bowles because I think he's a good coach. And I think part of the reason why I'm not throw the baby out with the bathwater, everything is going to go to shit now, is because of Todd Bowles and because of the leadership with this team. But I want to grade how good our teams are in the Tampa Bay area against the best of the best. You look at how they play in tough situations, in hostile environments, when their back's against the wall, when they're dealing with injuries. That's how I want to judge them. Yesterday, in watching the special teams play and watching the lack of push from the defensive line, I wanted to throw up watching that. It's just, you knew it was going to happen over and over and over again. And you look at the guys that are busting their ass on the offense, and you look at what the offensive line, you could tell the offensive line took what happened last week, the last couple of weeks, to heart, because they played their ass off yesterday. Now, was it perfect? No, but they played as hard as humanly possible. And you could tell, look at those Sean Tucker runs. Look at Mike Jordan. Look at Tristan Wirfs. Look at Graham Barton. Those guys busted their ass yesterday to make sure that they put better on tape, better things on tape Sunday than they have the last couple of weeks. Step forward, no doubt about it. Sean Tucker, when you watch that young man play, again, who's been saying it since the beginning of the year? Who? Go back and listen to the shows. They're all up on YouTube. Who's been saying since the beginning of the year that Sean Tucker needs to run the football more, that Bucky Irving is bound to get injured because he got hurt 3 times last year. So he's probably going to get banged up this year. So Rachaad White and Sean Tucker, especially Sean Tucker, needs to run the football more. And then there we go. Yesterday, another incredible performance. This dude has been fantastic when his number gets called and when he gets repetitions. I thought Rachaad played well yesterday too, but there's no reason why. It's such a stubbornness with the Buccaneers. Sean Tucker is shiftier. He's faster. He's a lead back. He's the guy that should be getting the rock first. If you're worried about his pass protection, if you're worried about his blocking, if you're worried about him catching the ball out of the backfield, even though I don't know why you should be, then keep Rachaad as the third down back. Fine. But there's stubbornness with this coaching staff that I think helps you in situations when you're trying to get out of something, but hurts you when you need a change of pace, when you need a fresh coat of paint on something. You live by the sword and you die by the sword when it comes to this Buccaneers team. That even keel mentality is good when you don't want to panic and when you're trying to bounce back. Because even if they lose this game against the Rams, listen, they'll be what? 6-5. At the very least, they'll be tied for first place with the Carolina Panthers. And you'll need that even keel mentality to snap out of it. But I don't know about you guys. I need to see adjustments. And this isn't talking about everybody's like, oh, Todd's a robot on the sidelines. That doesn't mean anything. That means nothing. The stoicism of Todd Bowles has nothing to do, nothing to why this team doesn't play well when it doesn't play well. If you want to tell me it's because of his scheme, then we can have that conversation. When you tell me that it's about his loyalty to coaches and players, we can have that conversation. But when you talk about him being a robot or stoic on the sidelines, that has zero to do with it. Nothing. He can't go out there and tackle. He can't. He can't have the passion and energy on the field. We need to see that from the players on the field. When I watch this team play, I look at them and I go, here, it's hard not to think, here we go again. Here we go again in the middle of the season. Here we go again, where we're just going to hope that this team has to kind of round itself into form. And I've been warning you guys about this for the last couple of weeks, that there was a great possibility this was going to happen. But it doesn't mean that this season is over. And people said, oh, well, that's a loser mentality to have. It doesn't matter what my mentality is. I'm not coaching. I'm not playing. I'm a realist. The season's not over, even if they lose on Sunday in LA to the Rams. It's just not. It's not. It's going to be a tall task to be able to beat the Rams. And if they don't, again, at the very least, they're tied for first place with the Panthers. And we're pissed off again 1 week from today. And I'll tell you what, I will not be on air next Monday because I will be at a wedding in St. Thomas. I will not be on the air Tuesday because I will be away. I'll be on the air Wednesday from my parents' house in New York. I'll be on the air Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week. One of my players, Danny Gutcher, is getting married, and it's St. John, not St. Thomas, excuse me. But he's getting married on on Monday. Crazy, huh? So I'm flying out Saturday night, and then I get there on Sunday, and then the wedding is on Monday, and then Tuesday will be a travel day. I'll be heading up to see my parents. Actually, no, there's no show on Thursday because we have Thanksgiving, of course. But I'll be on. So Thanksgiving's Thursday. Nothing on Friday, but Wednesday I'll be on as like a week wrap up thing. So we'll be on next Wednesday. I'm just thinking, man, should I bring my stuff home? Should I do the show Wednesday? Should I just take all week off next Wednesday? I don't know. We'll think about it. Maybe I'll just take the mic and not the light. We'll do something. We'll figure something out. But yeah, just so you guys know, next week, no show Monday, no show Tuesday, because I'll be at a wedding. One of my players, Danny Gutcher, getting married. Pretty freaking crazy, man. Thank you very much, Chan, with the $5 super chat. What Tucker has overcome physically to get to this level mandates that he has given more opportunities. He gave back from a heart scare, let him eat. Yeah, I mean, it's a great story. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the reason why they give him more. But I love the guy, man. I think he should never had a chance so far. I don't care about Todd's actions, just a sad scheme. Yeah, I'm with you. Chan, if they lose to the Rams, when they do. Most fans don't understand scheme. That's why they come up with demeanor as a reason. That's a great point. It is a great point. Take the damn week off, brother. You deserve it. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. I'm gonna be live on. I'll probably come back on Wednesday to be able to chat because we're smack dab in the NFL season. We got to be able to talk about it. So we'll think about it. We might take the week off. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. But wow, what an incredible. Interesting. Just trying to make sure that I get everything. Yo, I'm gonna tell you what. It's pretty wild because the the Bucks loss is obviously more recent than the USF loss, but I'm way more pissed off about the USF loss, and I'm heated about the Bucks loss, but I am way more pissed off about the USF loss than the Bucks loss, because I'm not surprised. And I did see some good things from. I really enjoyed that they ran the football and stayed balanced. That's what you're gonna win that way. You're gonna win that way if the defense can get just a little bit better, right? The way that the Buccaneers were opportunistic with some of the turnovers. Listen, the interception by Servase Dennis, the interception by Jacob Parrish. They pick up the fumble on special teams and they ran the football. 39 rushes total, and that counts the kneel down from Teddy Bridgewater at the end of the game and a couple of scrambles from Baker. So let's just take 3 of those out. You take 3 of those out, 36 rushing attempts and 28 passes. You know, you look at the numbers for Baker, 16 of 28, $173, touchdown and interception. He ran the ball for 39 yards. The tough part about the Baker situation is that his misses a lot of times were on third down. They were on the 2-point conversions. So it was very, you want to talk about what's the unopportunistic? That's what Baker was yesterday. But when you're watching this game, I really like that they ran the football, and I like that there was an attempt to stay balanced. That is one. There's a lot of negative that you're going to talk about when you assess this game on Sunday. And you want to talk about special teams, you want to talk about coaching, you want to talk about defense. I mean, listen, take your pick. But if we're going to kind of parse through everything and look at some of the positives, and we'll get to this with Ian because obviously he and I have been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. The fact that they were able to run the football yesterday and stay as balanced as humanly possible, I think that's one thing that when they look at the tape, they'll go, this is the positive. This is something that we have to carry over. We got to carry over running the football with Sean Tucker and running the football with Rashad White and staying balanced in our offensive game plan. Because if you look at it, if you run the ball like that and you win the turnover battle, 99 out of 100, you're probably winning that game. You sure as hell ain't losing it by 12. But that's what happens when you get no pressure. That's what happens when you let Josh Allen outside the pocket. It's just we've talked about this again, and we'll talk about this with Ian in a minute here. Everybody wants to say the pass rush this, the secondary this, the secondary this. They got to work together, man. They got to work together. And if one's bad, the other one's probably going to be bad too. It's a lot easier to say, well, they should have done this or they should have done that. Look at what Josh Allen does. Very rarely does Josh Allen just sit there in the pocket, look around, and make a pass. He's in the pocket. He moves to his left. He moves to his right. He moves up in the pocket. He looks like he's about to run, and then he's right on the precipice of going over the line of scrimmage, and then he makes a throw on the dot. I mean, he's one of the most difficult players to go against in the National Football League. I mean, when you watch his play, I mean, you're talking about a guy he's going to go down as probably the greatest rushing quarterback ever. I mean, he's tied for first or second most rushing touchdowns from a quarterback. He's going to blow all the Cam Newton records out of the water. Like, it's him and Lamar. There'll be 1 and 2. He's a tough guy to defend. But you got to get home. All this talk about the almost and the pressures and all this other bullshit, you got to sack him. 20 sacks going into that game for the opposition against Josh Allen. A big old 0 yesterday for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, let's bring him in. We chat with him every Monday at 12:30, and we'll do it again right here. He is the one and only Ian Beckles. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm good. What's going on, brother?
I did my research this week. Did you see the caption there?
Blocked for 3. Well, okay.
You know who they are. Give me the 3.
In the league?
Mm-hmm.
That would be Reggie Cobb. That would be Ricky Waters.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one would be Gary Anderson.
No, sir.
No. Charlie Gardner?
Nope.
Jesus, who'd that be? Not Gary Anderson, not Reggie Cobb. Who else could that possibly be?
The other running back for the Bucs.
Was it All-Star? Did he get 1,000?
No. This guy did it twice.
So Reggie did it twice then?
No, Reggie in 92.
Okay.
You had Ricky Waters in both years. Ricky ran for 1,000 when you were with the Eagles.
Okay.
And then this other guy ran it in 94 and 95 for the Bucs.
Who the hell would that be?
I can't believe
Eric Rett.
Eric Rett.
Tom Ponzo gave me the answer. I didn't even know. Eric Rett. Yeah.
Man, you're doing all right. You're doing all right. I'm sure you were watching the highlights of the lowlights of the game from yesterday. My goodness.
Right.
So, all right, are you with me? Are you with me on the if there's one positive you could take is the balance? They stayed balanced yesterday, Beck, and they ran the shit out of the football. I mean, we'll talk about all the negative stuff in a second, but I like this. It seemed like the offensive line was like, all right, we're going to play a little bit different. I think that's a step forward from what we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
Well, here's my issue with the game. If you would say all the things that we need to do to win, we did them all.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we're doing things that we don't do. So we're doing things that we hadn't done, and all of a sudden, the thing is, when we talk about identity, Jay, the word identity just means consistency. That's all it means. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you, what have the Bucs consistently done well or poorly this year? I don't know if there's an answer.
Not rushing.
Like one week they rush the passer, then they don't rush the passer, then they run the football, then they don't run the football, and it just 1 week is. But they don't do anything consistent. So I don't know what we are, brother. That's like the game I watched yesterday. That's not what the Bucs are. We know that. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't the Bucs give the ball to Tucker more? Or why don't we do this and that? A lot of that is Buffalo's defense not being that damn good. Okay, right. So it's not that easy. But to do things on a consistent basis every single week is tough, and the Bucs just aren't that.
I said this before, and I want to get your opinion. I think Chris Braswell is a bigger bust than JTS. Brother, missing tackles all over the field. You don't even hear his name. At least JTS made a couple of plays on special teams. This dude's getting blown up on kickoff coverage, missing tackles. He's a second-round pick. This he's headed for a more useless career with the Buccaneers than JTS, man. Did you even see Braswell yesterday?
I'll be honest with you, Jay. I don't know what number Braswell is.
Thank you.
And I want to dog him out, but I don't really know who he is. I don't know. I've heard his name in the preseason a couple of times. I really don't even really know what position he plays. He's done so little. So is he a bigger bust than JTS at this moment? It's equal because they both suck at the moment.
I think he is, man. I think he is, because at least we saw JTS running around. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't doing that, but at least we saw him running around. You were like, there he is. We don't even say there he is with Braswell. No. He doesn't even get a classic Jay Recher. There he is. He's nowhere. It's where is he? That's the next edition. The pass rush is killing me, Beck, because everybody they're getting pressures, bro. They're getting close. Bro, 2 weeks, Anthony Nelson, more snaps, nada. Yaya Diaby, nada. They 0 sacks yesterday, as many as me and you. Josh Allen got sacked 20 times going into that game yesterday. I think 19 all of last year. 0 for the Buccaneers pass rush. Everybody talks about when this guy comes back, when that guy comes back. Reddick wasn't necessarily lighting the world on fire either. And I think the scary thing about this Buccaneers team is this defense kind of is what it is. The cavalry isn't coming.
Yeah, this is not a championship football team as far as defense goes. I hope everybody can see that. I mean, it's something that can be rectified, but it's hard to just all of a sudden hit a switch in the middle of a season and all of a sudden be something. Um, we see Anthony Nelson. We see him one week. You're like, oh my God, look at, and then he just disappears for the next 2 weeks. I mean, Yaya Diaby, every week, I might as well just use what I say every week.
He
Okay,
plays hard. Yep.
he plays hard, and at the end of the game, he's gonna have 1 tackle and 1 assist. That's it, and it's not gonna really equate to much. I don't dislike him as a football player, but after a while, you're going to have to put on some statistics. And Anthony Nelson has a great game, then he disappears for 2 games. Vita Vea plays a great half game, then Vita Vea, I didn't hear his name all yesterday. And that's the problem I have with Vita Vea, okay? And I'm pretty consistent with this, okay? If you're going to be the man, and I think he's a good football player, you need him on your football team. But I'll be damned if he doesn't disappear a lot. He just disappeared yesterday for me. And there's some plays that I'm watching, and they're hustle plays, and I'm not feeling the hustle. I'm not feeling the hustle. And when you're a leader on a defense, hustle is essential. And I'm not seeing it from him, so it's not enough for me, that's for sure.
Do you know how many tackles Vita Vea had against the Bills yesterday?
None.
Zero.
Zero
tackles for Vita Vea.
Well, if you look at who had tackles yesterday, Jay, it was the defensive backs. Right. All the DBs had the tackles, so it was one of those games where our defense got eviscerated, brother. That was not pretty whatsoever. And all the things that we used to say we're not anymore. Mm-hmm. Nobody runs against us. Can't say that no more. We don't give up big plays. We can't say that no more. The Bucs were getting sacks despite not rushing the passer all that well. And I think it's getting us now. In order for us to get sacks and get the quarterback down, we gotta blitz. And when you blitz, that puts your defense in a lot of peril. And we're not dealing with it well right now.
I'm with you because you look at Winfield, McCollum, Tyke Smith. Those are the 3 leading tackles yesterday. 2 safeties in a corner. Then Braswell had 4, Levante 4, Morrison 4, Dennis 4, Logan Hall 3, Anthony Nelson 2, Yaya 2, and Greg Gaines 1. So I mean, 53 tackles yesterday. I still think it's kind of hard to believe that you have a guy like Vita Vea, who many people think is one of the best run stuffers in the league, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. A lot of people would take him. I mean, they ran the ball 23 times, but Beck, not 1 tackle out of 53. You can't get 1 tackle. Yikes.
Yeah. Once again, Vita Vea is what he is, but you got to step your game up a little bit, brother, because every once in a while he'll do something in a game, and I'm like, man, look at that guy. Like I don't know how anybody would block him, and then he'll disappear for a whole game. They don't go together for me. If I see plays where you can't be blocked, I should be saying that every single week. And yesterday, all day I was like, look at Vita there, look at Vita there, look at Vita there, and it just wasn't. The effort wasn't there. So I don't try to hold back on anybody. I like Vita Vea as a football player, but I hope he watches the game from yesterday and thinks I got more than that, because that clearly wasn't good enough.
Yeah, because he's such an important part to this team. He's such an important piece for these guys. He's an incredible leader. I mean, he's there. I mean, for the most part, think about it. Like, is the guy we were worried about his health? I mean, he stayed relatively healthy this year. He's out there. He does get in a weird. It's funny, crazy. It's kind of crazy too, right? Where like, he does a better job, I think, getting to the passer than we thought he would. But there are times when he disappears. So it's very ironic how it's like one end of the spectrum for him, where at times he looks like he's the best player on the field, and at other times he's getting pushed out of the way and he's getting no tackles. They need him to play at a high level, Beck, because if he plays like that, this defense is screwed.
Well, Jay, to be honest with you, I think it has a lot to do with everybody else on the football field. If Vita Vea was playing on the Buccaneers defense at the end of the 90s and early 2000s, we wouldn't be saying he was one of the best rushers. We'd be saying he's a great run stopper. Mm-hmm. The only reason why we're saying he's a great rusher because we don't have nobody else. Okay, right. So we literally have nobody else. Nobody else. Like, I don't even know who number 2 is right now. So I heard somebody say the other day, Yaya Diaby's our best pass rusher. I'm like, what? What? He puts the quarterback on the ground once every 6 games. He's our best pass rusher. So A lot of it to do with Vita and the type of player he is, and a lot of it, the other part of it has to do with the lack of just what we're getting from everybody else. There's nobody else doing nothing on the D line, brother. Who else is doing anything on the defensive line? Other than Nelson had one good game. Other than that,
Yaya has 4 sacks in 10 games. Nelson has 3, and then Levante and Vita both have 2.5. And then you have Dennis with 2, Parrish with 2, Tyke Smith with 2. Those are all guys in the secondary. And it's just not good enough. And I think, David Walker gets hurt in the offseason. And then what name did I not mention there? Hassan Reddick. Yeah. Hassan Reddick. And I know he's been out the last couple of games, but in 7 games back, a sack and a half, not good enough. And for all the things that we say about Jason Light, and he's done a great job, and I know he doesn't want to trade his draft picks, but I think not doing a better job of addressing the pass rush could ultimately be the death knell. Booger McFarland put something on Twitter, and he goes, if the Buccaneers can't get home with 4, they can't go deep in the playoffs. You can't beat good teams if you don't rush with 4, regardless of how exotic the blitzes are that Todd Bowles schemes up, because good quarterbacks that can extend plays, like we saw yesterday with Josh Allen, they're going to slice and dice you, because eventually the more time he has, he's going to find that mismatch. And Todd loves dropping those pass rushers in coverage, and that'll work the first 3 or 4 seconds. That's what we saw in the Shavers touchdown yesterday. And people are like, wow, why was Yaya covering the guy? That play, he had the guy out in the flat. He was all over him. And then Josh Allen extends the play. And then what did the receiver do? He took off. And then you can't expect your outside linebacker to run with a wide receiver. What are you, freaking nuts? So I look at this pass rush and Jason Light, and this could be the reason why they don't advance to where they want to advance, because I don't think they did a good job addressing it.
Well, all those sacks that you mentioned at the beginning, Jay, I'm thinking about this season, and the majority of those sacks that you mentioned were schematic sacks.
And they were against bad teams, too.
Correct. And I can't even picture guys with great pass rush. I'm picturing schemes, okay? Mm-hmm. But at the end of it, you got to beat people with pass rushes, man. You got to have guys that are beating guys one-on-one at the end of it for you to be good. And the Bucs aren't that. Who's their best one-on-one pass rusher right now?
It's got to be Yaya. He's got 4.
I mean, the answer might be Yaya, but it's a bad answer. It's not a great answer, unfortunately.
The Bucs have 26 sacks on the season in 10 games. And out of those sacks, I want to make sure I got this right. 4 of them came against the Jets. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're thinking about the teams that they played, and you're like, wow, that team's not very good. That team's not very good. Oh, wait, they played the Saints. How many sacks did they have in that game? 5. Beck, 9 of their sacks have come in those 2 games against the Jets and the Saints that are both combined. They're both 2-8. So for all the talk about, oh, well, they get their sacks and everybody gets the sacks, if you don't get them against, and I was saying this before you hopped on, and part of the reason why part of the way that I judge good players and good teams is how you do against other good players and good teams. Why is Barry Sanders so lauded, and why is his highlight package just so incredible? Because he's doing against Lynch and Brooks and Randall and all these other guys. You're like, shit, he's the best, because he's making some of the other great players of his generation look like shit. The Buccaneers, if you don't play well against the other, how do you think your fan base is going to feel about your prospects going forward if this is how you play against a team that's considered one of the best in the NFL?
Well, I just don't know if the Bucs can keep on fooling themselves. Okay, that's about as real as I can say, because like they started off this season, they were winning games despite not doing some things well. Then afterward they're coming back to the reality. Now they're in the reality now. They're in the midst of reality right now. Reality is you can't win football games unless you're doing things on a consistent basis, protecting the passer, running the football. We run the football well one week, the next week we can't run it. We stop the run one week, the next week we can't stop the run. So it's just, there's no consistency out there. And I'm gonna say, what are we gonna fall back on? These last few weeks of the season, I don't know what are we gonna fall back on, because then you start talking about, well, when we get this player back and that player back, well, I tell you what, some of those players weren't playing great before they went down. So we just don't know what the whole situation is, and they better figure it out quick, because I see the end of the season's coming up here real quick.
How do you though? Like, what do you do in a situation like that, Beck? I mean, again, these guys, Sidney Rice ain't coming through that door. They can't trade for any of these guys. I mean, you have to rely on Todd Bowles now and the scheme. As much as we say, well, they got to change, like Yaya Diaby's not going to turn into Myles Garrett overnight. Anthony Nelson, you know what's going to happen. Anthony Nelson and they're going to play a crappy team. Anthony Nelson's going to have another 2 sacks, and he's not going to have any other sacks for the rest of the season. So you look at this situation with the Buccaneers, and it's just like, what do you do? What do you do in a situation like this?
You do what they've been doing, and that's trying to figure out ways to manufacture sacks. And like they know what they have, Jay. And what they have is, if they have 4 guys rushing on a consistent basis, they won't get any sacks. That's just not what they're made of. And they're trying to dupe people into getting sacks, and it works sometimes, and sometimes it gets you in trouble. And you were talking about one play, Anthony Nelson was covering somebody in the flat too, and it's like you're going to get yourself in trouble sometimes, that's for sure. And this Buccaneer defense, we haven't really had that quote-unquote beast of a rusher in a while. And be nice to find one, but it's been a while.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett was the last guy when he had 19 and a half sacks. And even then, that was kind of the aberration because the rest of the seasons. But still, this team would be they would love to have a guy like Shaq Barrett on their team, no doubt. What do you make of the whole issue with the special teams? They kept kicking to the same guy, and it just seemed like every single kickoff, not only is it a killer for the momentum, Beck, but do you put that more on the special teams coach? Do you put that more on the players itself? Because, you see Deion Jones whiffing, you see Chris Braswell getting ran over and whiffing on tackles, and Thomas McGahee, their special teams coach, who was really had his feet to the fire early on the season because of all the blocks, and now you see a lack of coverage. Surprised that he still has a job. And again, do you put this more on the coach or the players?
Yeah, I'm not surprised he still has a job, but I'm putting it on both of them. Scheme is one thing, but you have to get out there and make tackles. Yesterday, I've been part of games where teams couldn't stop us, and then we kicked the ball off, and they run the ball back, and I was like, stop kicking the freaking ball back to these guys. And I remember it was Herschel Walker on the other side. We couldn't stop him. And we just kept on kicking it back, and he kept on running it back, and that happens sometimes. And sometimes it's a mismatch thing. And your special teams coach, he can't figure out how to take care of it in the middle of the game, because it's how you gonna do that other than saying kick it out of bounds and just take it on whatever yard line it is. But yesterday was a culmination of our season as far as special teams, because it was not been a good year special teams wise. And yesterday was abysmal. And teams see that, brother. Yeah. Teams, they're going to come out. They're going to come after us. And when you start, every time the other team starts offensively from the 50-yard line or in, I mean, life is good. We can't keep on. I mean, we can't survive that way. That's for sure.
A lot of people now, the Bulls haters are coming out now because of this team losing 2 games in a row. And this is a swoon. Once again, it looks like we're headed for a 3-game losing streak, and for the 3rd year in a row in the middle of the season. And it just seems like the schedule is always the toughest for the Buccaneers at that time. How much of this do you put on Bowles? I mean, you and I are not those people that are trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater here, but I feel like he does have to wear some of this too, though, Beck, right? For the credit that we give him for good times, we got to make sure that, we keep it 100 with him. Is like, all right, well, you are in charge of the defense, buddy. You are in charge, and you gave up 44 points on the road, and, he's got to wear some of this, but how much of it, I guess, is the question.
I mean, you have to wear all of it. I mean, the thing is, I'm going to give it to all of it to him when he deserves it. And when it's negative, I'm going to give it all to him as well. I mean, that's the way it is, because I know what Todd Bowles was doing at the beginning of the year was amazing. Okay. Mm-hmm. With what we had and what the situation was. And if you listen to, maybe us talk in general, I think even though we were 6-1, if you heard my voice, it didn't sound like I was 6-1 as a Buccaneer fan. It was like, okay, we're 6-1, but let's make sure that we don't, and let's not start. And here we are. Okay, so we're 6-4 now. We're not in any type of driver's seat. Looking forward, it's a good chance we be 6-5. This was the worst case scenario at the beginning 3 weeks ago, and here we are. Okay, but here's how football goes, Jay. You mess around and beat the Rams, then we're not talking this way. Okay, that's how easy football goes. So this Buccaneer team is really getting some of the things that it deserved. Because at the beginning of the season, we got some wins despite maybe not deserving them.
Eagles beat the Lions yesterday. Crappy pass interference call at the end, but I mean the Lions still you only scored 9 points, so you can do it. When you think about it right now, and you think about the team, I mean Denver beats Kansas City. That was a huge win yesterday. When you just think off the top of your head, some of the more impressive teams that you've seen this year, who are they?
The Rams look good.
I like the Rams, man.
Yeah,
I like the Rams.
The Rams look good. I'll be honest with you, AFC wise, I don't see anybody that's overly like dominant. You know, anybody can come out of it. I think anybody can come out the NFC too, to be honest with you. Because as good as the Rams have looked, they're not unbeatable. You know, I can see the Lions, I can see the Eagles beating them. But other than that, I'm just not seeing a lot of consistency out there. There's so many injuries. There's so many quarterbacks going down. You know, seasons are up and down. There's not a lot of consistency out there, brother.
Your Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. It looks like he's hurt, but they won again yesterday. They're in first place.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers. I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, and never have been. But listen, I did say when Aaron Rodgers went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's probably the best quarterback for them. I believe that. I mean, it just fits, right? They're not going nowhere with Aaron. They'll make the playoffs, but they ain't going nowhere with Aaron Rodgers. I don't see it.
How about your Indiana Hoosiers? You like how they bounced back this week? Yeah.
Do I like how they bounce back? Yes, I do. It's one of those. I watch them and I'm shaking my head a lot. I'm just like, these guys are good. Like these guys are good. I mean, when I watch them, I'm like, and I'm waiting for them to fall, but they're good. They're well coached, and they'll start off slow, and they'll give up 3 points, and that'll be the only 3 points they give up the whole game. It seems like. So I don't want to get I don't want to look too far ahead, but I mean, I don't see a future without them in it.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And then you look at USF; they had everything opportunity right in front of them, and they lose to Navy, and now their season is pretty much, they're bowl eligible, but man, it's just a win for USF would have done wonders, man, to be able to stay in that conversation, to possibly make the college football playoff. You watch any other college games on Saturday?
Yeah, I watched quite a bit. I watched quite a bit of the USF game. I'm going to say this about USF fans. We're not far. But you can get closer than be far again. Okay,
Yeah,
that's the unfortunate part, because you have quarterbacks come in here, quarterbacks leave, and coordinators come and leave. I think this USF team is heading in the right direction personally, and I think Derek Brooks is a big reason. The stadium is another big reason. This town's another big reason. I mean, we're in Tampa Bay, baby. This is paradise. Everybody wants to be here.
Worried about Alex? I know you're not worried, but you think Alex Golish possibly leaves for a new job with as many openings as there are?
Yeah, it's a good chance. People are talking about Signetti over there in Indiana, and listen, it doesn't, as much as in Indiana. I believe when Signetti got here was losing his team in 1 and 1A. He's probably not going to leave that way, but there's really, if you win in Indiana, there's really nowhere to go. Okay, because that's as high as it goes. The unfortunate part is it does get higher than USF, unfortunately. And not saying that he's going to leave, but Signetti, if he stays in Indiana and wins, and say he wins a national championship in Indiana, they're going to have his street signs and everything with his name on it, and it will be the same thing at USF. If you won at USF and won a national championship at USF, your name will be here forever. If you go to Michigan or Penn State or some of these schools like that, you're not going to be the man. So there's pluses and minuses to being at some of those bigger schools.
Yeah, no doubt about it. How did you guys do on Friday, Chambo?
Yeah, it didn't work. Didn't work out. One of those games we could have beat them, but we played dumb. I think we lost like 28-14 or something like that.
Yeah, but hey, man, you made the playoffs, right?
Yeah, it made the playoffs. There's always next year.
What you guys got? What you got going over on the Dignitary Cafe this week?
Nothing crazy, bro. Just come on over and get your coffee and get your what do you drink? Your Sunkist?
My Sunkist?
Your Sunkist.
Oh, I gotta drink water now, man. All my medical issues that I have now, all water for me.
All water for you?
All
That's
water.
good for you. And we got friends giving this week.
Whoa!
We're giving back to all our people. You know.
Nice. Tom Ponzo gonna dress up like a turkey, or?
Yes, sir. Gobble gobble.
Gobble gobble. Jameis Winston, baby. Did you see Jameis?
Let's go.
Hey, damn, man. I mean, they almost beat the Packers. They can almost my ass. Those guys.
Almost my ass.
Me. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. No, just Instagram. Ian Beckles Show. The stream every day at 4:15. You said on YouTube. Ian Beckles Show, Indiana. I was actually I was watching it the other day actually for a while. You going against South Carolina. The guy was good though. South Carolina, he was good, man. If you know how to use
the teams don't even matter.
No, it doesn't. It's the players. Yeah, and he knew exactly how to use Sellers, like super athletic quarterback. And you could tell some of it. It's not always. You're right. It's not always just the teams. It's the players, and they know how to put those guys in a position to succeed. And it was Indiana, South Carolina, in real life, no doubt, but. These guys know exactly. They're super talented, man.
No doubt.
Talented. So go check it out. Again, Ian Beckles Show on YouTube every Monday at 12:30. And, of course, Beckles and Recher every Wednesday at 3:15. Dignitary Cafe, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard, the best kava and kratom in town. Beck, appreciate it, brother. I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
All right, kid. Peace.
See you, man. The great Ian Beckles right there. Right there. Go check us out, man. The Dignitary Cafe. A lot of fun over there with the folks. Oh, that's very nice. All right. So thank you very much. Does Dignitary have Snapple? Yeah, you never know. It's a really good time, man. You got to go check them out. It's a lot of fun. All right. Make sure. Let's show some love to our partners right now and our friends over at The Honest Hammer. He's spot on, Ian, about that Vita Vea stuff, man. You just watch some of that stuff and not good enough, man. Not good enough at all. All right, here we go. Make sure. All right, The Honest Hammer. Right here, folks. TheHonestHammer.com. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Our first partners here on the program. My guy, Russ, the best, man. Such a great dude. The Honest Hammer, General Contractor Company, CGC 153116. TheHonestHammer@gmail.com. Again, 813-244-0956. Look, some of the new pictures up. Nice. Sweet, dude. New custom build there in St. Pete. I went over there a couple of weeks ago. Incredible. You have a bathroom remodel, a kitchen remodel, new commercial construction, interior structural renovation, or new custom home. You got a plot of land, you're looking, and you want something done to your specifications, they can help you out. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Just such a great dude. Such a great dude, man. Unbelievable. So if you want to support local, like we implore all of you guys to do, make sure you hit us up. TheHonestHammer.com. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast, and you can get a discount as well as our friends as EverHealth. Go to everhealth.org. 17 different locations in Pinellas County. We have the EverHealth Injury Report every Thursday at 12:30 with our guy, Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, and the conversation that we had last week about who are we talking about? Oh, Oliver Bjorkstrand's injury. Wow, man. With the compartment condition that he had, unbelievable. And how, you just have like a minor bruise and it hurts way more than you think, and how it attacked. Like, you got to go back and check it out. Unbelievable. Also, the EverHealth Institute, if you're looking for a career, they can help you out as well. Go check it out. All the different programs on there, everhealth.org. Everybody's so nice and friendly. It is the future of healthcare, in my opinion. You look at what they do, and they take care of the uninsured. They have a sliding scale for the uninsured. They take any kind of insurance, and there's from cradle to the grave. They talk about it. They don't want to be your last option. They want to be your first option. And when you listen to the conversation that we have with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez every single week, he's such a nice guy. He was actually texting me last night. His nephew was in the same baseball tournament as we were. He was 14s. We were 13s. just such a nice man. And that's how everybody is over there at EverHealth. So again, everhealth.org. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube. This guy called us back. What's going on, Robert? How are you, buddy? What do you got for us?
I would like to say that I was surprised, but existence as a USF fan for the past 20 years, especially watching the football program, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. It's been painful. It's been the same. I told Lily Saturday after the game was over, I'm like, same story, different year. Right. Same story, different. You go back to the 2007 season, the 2016 season, the 2017 season, and now this year. It just hurts. It hurts. It's just anguish. But I'm like the meme of the old man in the rain holding the umbrella over the over. I'm just because I'm mad doesn't mean I'm gonna leave these boys in the dust. I'm always gonna love my Bulls, always gonna support them. It just hurts. It just hurts.
Got that right, Robert. I appreciate the call, brother. Have a great rest of your week. Go Bulls, man.
All right, brother.
All right, Bulls. Man. Go Bulls. He's right there, buddy. He's right there. This was an opportunity for things to be different. This was an opportunity for the Bulls to show that what has happened in the past is in the past, and that we really are on the precipice of new things with this football team. The record for Alex Golosh against these winning teams is not good. Defensively, I thought it was a huge letdown. Huge. I just don't quite understand how the defense could be that bad. You've been practicing this all week. You've played Navy before, and you just look like you had no clue what was going on in that contest. Byram threw a tough interception, but other than that, this dude did everything humanly possible to put the Bulls in a position to succeed. And for all the talk about this year is going to be different and blah, 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 it's just not. It's not. And I don't think that the team really came out with the type of vigor and the type of energy and consistency that we wanted to see. You end up losing the game by 3 points. But you lose this game in the first half. They just didn't seem like they were ready to play. You can tell me all you want that, they were, and we watched the game. Like, you're down 14-3 after the first half. After the first quarter. It didn't look like you were ready to play. Missed opportunity. You were 9.5-point favorites on the road. And I just... watching this game was just so incredibly frustrating because it seemed like Navy knew what was at stake and the Bulls did not. And then you have the one kid, Ammer or whatever, and he's like saluting Navy in a way where you're trying to be disrespectful. That was such a terrible look for this team. Terrible look. And when you look at Mac Harris out there with all the tackles and what, again, Jeremiah Koger did yesterday or Saturday, and there's some really good things offensively. But man, and you fought till the bitter end, which is a good sign. But this was an opportunity to really, really show everybody that this ain't the same old South Florida. And unfortunately, what you did was you brought up a lot of bad memories about Houston and about other teams that are the tough games in the past where USF has lost. And I tell you what, I'm a little surprised too that it was just such a precipitous drop off from the support from USF fans. Like, there was a lot of vitriol on social media this weekend about USF and getting on Alex Golish and getting on this team. And it's the same old, team, same old program here. Now, this team is moving in the right direction. The fact that they were in the hunt, I think, is a positive sign. I did see that same report that CJ is talking about Alex Golish possibly interviewing for the job at Oklahoma State. I'm sorry to see if I can find that right now. Michael Penix suffered a potentially season-ending knee injury. Jets switching from Tyrod Taylor to Justin Fields. I just had it. I want to make sure that because I care about things like this. I know other people don't, but looking at Alex Golish and Oklahoma State. Boom, 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 boom. Taylor Cook. Carson Cunningham. Here we go. So this is from Carson Cunningham, Pistols Guys podcast host, obviously Oklahoma State, Man United supporter. This is why I believe him. I reported October 24th. October 24th. Reported October 24th, Alex Golish interviewed for the OK State job and remains atop the list. Golish, followed by Eric Morris, are the two leading candidates for the job. I expect this to move quickly this week with an announcement likely first week in December. And then he added 2 days ago on Saturday. With USF out of the college football player picture, I expect OK State to put the full court press on Alex Golish. Multiple sources tell me he is Oklahoma State's top candidate to replace Mike Gundy. So there you have it. I mean, when you look at this opportunity for Golish, we're only going to address things when something like that comes out, right? I'm not one of those people that just like, oh, hey, we'll speculate on it. Oh, well, could he leave? Like, nobody's talking about anything. This is a guy that, this is getting some traction, so we have to address it. Out of all the jobs out there, right? All these jobs out there about, that are open at this point. Is Oklahoma State really that job that Alex Golish should be leaving for? I would say no, because you're not even going to get the best recruits in your own freaking state. Like, that doesn't, I don't understand why that would be the move. If you tell me that it was Florida, again, I'm a bull before a gator 7 days a week. But you would kind of understand that. Like, all right, whatever. LSU, all right. Talking big-time SEC schools, national championships. Oklahoma State, really? But if that's the decision that he makes, then he's got to go. You got to go. You got to interview. You got to do your thing. Fine. Go. Do what you got to do. This program is on the upswing. And as much as Alex Golish has been the guy to turn it around, I look at what Rob Higgins and Derek Brooks are going to do regardless of what happens. That this team or this entire athletics program, because of who they have now at the helm, these are two Tampa guys. Rob Higgins and Derek Brooks are Tampa guys. And if Alex Golish is not going to be part of the crew that is going to usher this team into a new era of USF football, then it is what it is, man. This is part of the gig. And I said it before and I say it again. The one guy that should take over if Alex Golish tends to move on, I have the name. I'm not going to announce it yet, But once the news comes out, if it does come out, because again, I don't know. But if that news comes out eventually that Alex Golsh is moving on, I'll give you the number one replacement right here on the program. No doubt about it. But I look at what Byron Brown did, and I'm super impressed the way he was battling and fighting to the end. I look at what this team needs to do moving forward the rest of the year. You need 4 losses in the conference. It's few and far between. I just don't see it happening. Chris, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, good, man. How you doing, Jay?
I'm hanging in there, buddy. What do you got for me?
I know there's been a lot of negativity on USF Twitter and on social media.
Yep.
But
big time.
You got to cut them a little bit of slack, man. Because as someone who's been a fan of this program for this long, it's always been you can get right to the top and you can just never get over that bump. And it sucks because not only can you not do it, but you see teams come up from Conference USA and just lap you, leave you in the dust. And I know a lot of people are comparing this to the Levitt years or whatnot. But one thing that's also just mind-boggling is the fact that it's not like our conference has stayed stagnant the past 20 years. We're staying here, and just the conference is getting worse and worse and worse.
Right.
I mean, and that's not really disrespectful to some of the teams in there. There are some good teams, but they're not teams that we should not be at least getting 1 or 2 conference championships out of.
Right.
At least getting to the game, man. I mean, this game last Saturday, almost every single one of the USF fans out there were terrified, and for good reason, because we've been here so many times. You had Rutgers in 2007, you had Temple in 2016, you had the game against C back in 2017. But I think the reason this one hurts the most is that, I think somebody asked the other day on Twitter if this was as bad as the UCF game in 2017, and no, because that was UCF, so that's always going to be a different level. But we were 9.5 point dogs in that game. So
yeah, exactly.
A win would have been great. A win would have been great. You were 9.5 favorites. Navy was plus 300 to win that game. And you win this game, you're going to easily be plus 20 favorites the rest of the way. And then you have a shot at the conference championship. It's not hey, man, maybe you can get it. It's if you just don't stub your toe, if you just don't fuck up, you're there. And they fucked up again. So I said it earlier, man. I love my team. Go Bulls. I support my team, but I can't trust my team. I can't.
It sucks, man, because when you think about it too, Chris, you're going against Navy and you know what they bring to the table. It's not wow, don't know that they're going to run the triple option. Wow, they're not going to throw the ball every once in a while. It looked like it's one thing if you lose and you get it. Here's the I would have taken. If you lose that game and they kind of wear you down, they pop one at the end of the game. They throw one pass at the end of the game after they ran the ball. Then you're like, hey, man. But they dominated the line of scrimmage from the beginning. It was like USF went into this game not knowing what their offense was able to do. And that's what's crazy to me is, I just we give Alex Golsh a lot of credit for the things that he does, but they just did not look ready. They didn't look ready offensively. They didn't look ready defensively. We've seen that even in some of the good games this year, even in the games that they won, even the game against North Texas. They ended up scoring 63. Remember how many turnovers they had in the first half?
I was there, man.
Yeah. What was the other game? I forgot one of the other games. Forget whatever. It was one of the home games, but it was they started out so slow. And I'm
Charlotte, we didn't start off good.
Maybe it was Charlotte. Yeah, it was Charlotte. Was that the game with the Mac Harris touchdown? I think whatever game that Mac Harris had the long touchdown. And I just remember looking at the game you can't start slow against good teams because all you're going to do is spend the entire team trying to fight back. And listen, it's 41-38. And it wasn't even that close, really. I mean, it's a 3-point deficit. And if it wasn't for Herculean performances from Byron Brown and Koger and all these guys, it wouldn't even be that close. And I don't even want to say concerned because if he leaves, he leaves, bro. What would you think, Chris? If you think he does take that Oklahoma State job, I'm almost numb to the fact of this is kind of the way college football is nowadays. It sucks because we were there for the Jeff Scott years too, and we don't want to go back. But there's no guarantee that just because he moves on, we're going to go back to the doldrums of college football. But I'm kind of numb to it. What about you?
The problem is, man, is that, and I think again, this is why this game hurts so much. Is one, this was your second chance. Like if you would have not blown a 14-point lead against Memphis yesterday, would not matter. You're good.
That's right.
But they stubbed their toe then, and they stubbed their toe this past weekend. The problem is college football is changing. They are the have-nots and they are the haves. And this is our chance to get out of college football purgatory. I mean, I'm just going to say it. The American is purgatory.
Yep.
If you're not part of the Big Four, you're not shit. That's just how it is.
Yep.
And like people have to understand that and realize that. And we are fighting for our life right now to get the hell out of here. I'll take the ACC at this point. I know.
Yeah, I would too.
Fantastic, man. The thing is, like, what drives me nuts is we're doing everything right off the field, man.
Yep.
I love Rob Higgins. And when we had to fill the position for CEO or AD, I was like, man, if we can get Rob Higgins or Derek Brooks, that'd be great. We got them both, man.
I
and
know.
that is awesome. But it's just the on-field product has got to get there. You can't keep falling over because, how are we going to sit here and say we deserve to be in like the ACC or hell even the Big 12 when we haven't even been to an American championship conference?
Yeah.
Or a conference championship, you know what I'm saying? But so I don't know if he leaves, I'll be a little annoyed for the fact that he gave that whole little 4-minute speech about how he wasn't going to and hasn't been interviewing, and if these reports are right, they're back in October. But again, man, I'm not going to sit here and believe everything I read online. God knows it's not all accurate. So I'll cross that bridge when we get there. I don't know. I'm definitely not on the fire him train. I think that's considering where we were a couple years ago. But the thing is, too, with these days, it's not really like old college football where you bring in a guy in and he needs time to like develop and recruit. It's professional sports now. You get in here, we have the highest NIL in the entire conference, and we lost to a team with 0 NIL on Saturday. And honestly, man, it's just, and Navy's a hell of a team. Yeah. But they're not unbeatable. UNT, I think, just smacked them last week, and we smacked UNT. So I don't know if it does come out where maybe his focus hasn't been entirely on here. That'll be really, really annoying. But in the meantime, I guess just win these next 2 games, hope for a miracle, and I don't know, just hope basketball can get to the dance or something to kind of keep us on that good trajectory. And
you got that right, Chris. Appreciate the support and the call, man. Thanks, buddy.
You too, man. Have a good day.
Go Bulls. Chris, great stuff as always, my friend. He's right about the NIL stuff too, right, man? You're going from the best on NIL in the American to 0 against Navy. And you just hear it in Chris's voice there, man. There's a despondence. There's just it's a disappointment. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm angry about the Bucks. I'm disappointed about USF. And if listen, with the whole Alex Golosh thing, if he was interviewing this whole time, then it is that is going to affect how I view the guy and his tenure here. And if you want to go to Oklahoma State out of all teams, all right, dude, fine. If you want to go to Arkansas, because I heard that his wife has ties there, okay. But man, this is USF. This is an opportunity to really grow something. And same thing what Ian says about Kirk Cignetti, You win there, they're going to build a statue of you, right? Think about with Alex Golosh if he does stay here and they do win a conference championship, they do enter into a college football playoff, they go into a new stadium, he will be he'll be the Bear Bryant, he'll be the Nick Saban, he'll be the man here. But it's just so disappointing to see the effort from the guys yesterday, and people are pissed. People are freaking pissed. They are not happy with what they saw. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you because after what we saw in that Memphis game, blowing that lead, I said this to somebody. I said, maybe that was a good thing. Maybe they were looking past. Maybe they forgot that they had to play, a full 60 and, maybe whatever. You try to make excuses for the guys, but they don't want excuses. And maybe it's more of a reason than an excuse, but you're like, okay, well, maybe they learned their lesson in the game against Memphis. Apparently not, because you had a huge test against Navy. And this isn't the Navy that we've seen in years past. Listen, they're a good team, not taking anything away from them, but we've seen some really good Navy teams in the past. You guys remember them. And this wasn't one of them. Defensively, I wasn't blown away. Even offensively, I don't think they did anything that really surprised me. That was the Navy offense. They threw the ball maybe a little bit more than we've seen in years past, but even then, it's What are we doing, man? What are we doing? They threw the ball 19 times, which is kind of crazy to think a Navy offense threw the ball 19 times. But you have Todd Orlando in the defense, and you look at the players that he has out there. And, when you look at Mac Harris, 15 tackles. When you look at Jalen Schuler, 13 tackles. I mean, my goodness. Those guys did everything possible to help this team win. Everything. And just wasn't enough. Wasn't enough. And it feels like a missed opportunity because, again, what Chris said, that game against UCF a couple of years ago, you look at it, you were underdogs. The fact you were in that game, I mean, it was more of a rivalry game. You were over a touchdown favorite in this game. Oh, man. A huge missed opportunity for USF. And where do you go from here? A bowl game, you're going to play in the Gasparilla Bowl. You're going to play at home. This could be the beginning of a really, really troubling couple of months for USF, which is very sad and worrisome. Because Golish does leave, you're going to see a mass exodus of players, regardless of who they bring in. Because that offense people love, and they look what Byron Brown has been able to do. And man, it's just rough because you win this game, the feelings are good. You get to a conference championship game. Then even if Golish leaves, you're like, hey, we're in a good place. We're in a good spot. Momentum is high. But I just don't know. All right. So let's talk a little Lightning hockey here. Now, when we went into this game on Saturday, I think a lot of people out there were saying, okay, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be nuts. This game on Saturday between the Lightning and the Panthers is going to be like World War III. This is like Colorado and Detroit. And then you watch the game and you're like, the hell was that? What was that game on Saturday? That game had it was actually it was just nah. That was like white construction paper. There was just nothing to that game when it came to the energy and the emotion and the physicality we all thought we were going to see. Now, positive signs, the Lightning buckled down. I thought they played a solid game. If you're a person that is on that train of Andrei Vasilevsky isn't playing that well, I thought he played really well in that game. The only goal that beat him was a backhand snipe roof top from Brad Marchand. I don't think you could blame him on that, especially on the power play on a shitty call as well. But you look at the goals they scored. A goal from Lilleberg, blocker side over Bobrovsky. Jack Finley scores his first NHL goal on a breakaway and a nice pass from Curtis Douglas. And then Zemgus Girgensons with the empty netter to win the game 3-1. Think about that. Girgensons, Finley, and Lilleberg. Those were your goal scorers down there in Sunrise. I think the power play is starting to come around a little bit. I like that they're getting some more shots at the net. The tip right around the front with Jake Gensel. You have Bjorkstrand getting, Radish looks a little bit more confident. So the positive signs when it came to that aspect. But I can't be the only one that was very surprised that we didn't see, especially with Sabrin in the lineup and Douglas in the lineup, that we didn't see more fisticuffs, that we didn't see more intensity between these two teams. And I know that George Paros was there, the director of player safety, and I'm sure that there was a mandate of some sort and some type of discussion for the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers to, play the game the right way. Lightning didn't want to get fined. Maybe it's something that happens the second time that these two teams play at Benchmark International Arena. You also didn't have Matthew Tkachuk in the game either, so that he's another guy that adds to the, he adds a little gasoline to the fire. But I was shocked. And the Lightning did their part to quelch that by not starting the big boys. So I think it was just kind of like an honest hockey game. And, just kind of watching that, I was like, damn, man, I like that. I like the craziness. I like the wild play. And then the Lightning come home. They're up 2-0 against Vancouver, and then they just stop playing. And Vancouver scored and scored and scored again. And before you know it, it was 6-2. And it was like, all right, game over. Let's move on. The Lightning needed to get past this weekend. They needed to get past this weekend. They needed to put it behind them. And then they just needed to look forward. Because now I think this is kind of the start of, I don't want to say a new seat, but it kind of is. Everybody had that date circled, November 15th, November 15th. That's all everybody kept saying. Watch out for November 15th. Here comes November 15th. And it's just like, all right, great. November 15th, wonderful. And now it's here and gone, and nothing really happened. So it's like, okay, now they can move on. You got New Jersey tomorrow over at Benchmark International Arena. You have Edmonton on Thursday, so you welcome Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl into town. You got to get back to it. Got to get back to it. Then you're on the road in Washington. Couple more games at home against Philly and Calgary kind of takes you to the end of November. But I'm, surprised. A little surprised, a little bit of letdown. I wanted to see a little bit more. I was rushing to the TV after my game on Saturday, and I was just like, I rushed for what? I rushed for what? Damn it. But Braden Point, I like, he seems to be skating better. And I know there's been a lot of discussion recently about Team Canada when it comes to the Olympics, and Point being one of the guys that is already on the team and he hasn't played all that well and blah blah blah. It's Braden Point. This is a guy that knows how to play. He knows to, his play rises in big situations. He's a Stanley Cup winner. He won a gold with the Four Nations, with Team Canada last year. And all this like, oh, Celebrini's got to be there, Bedard's got to be there. Yeah, they're doing good in the regular season of the NHL. Who's going to kill penalties? To think that Cirelli and Hagel aren't going to make this team is kind of crazy when they just literally won with them last year. I don't know. It's just, you never know what you're going to see. Excuse me. All right. Tabo spoke earlier today. Let's get to that real quick. Tabo says that Jamel Dean has a hip flexor strain. He's currently day-to-day, but he'll get more testing. He also said that Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin Jr. will be worked in more this week in practice and evaluate them at the end of the week. Todd Bowles says on not going for it on 4th and 2 later in the game, they looked at a couple of scenarios. They felt they could pin in deep with a punt and have enough time to get the ball back. That was the thought process of it. I want to discuss that. I didn't like the 4th and 5 punt. I didn't like that one. I didn't hate the 4th and 2 punt late in the game because there were still like 7 minutes left. You had all 3 timeouts. And I didn't like how the offense looked right in that moment. You needed 5 on your own side of the 50. I had no issue with punting there. You got to get a stop. You have to get a stop because you score. All right, great. You let's say you convert there and then you don't score, or you do score. You don't got to stop him once anyway. So what's the difference? I didn't hate the 4th and 2 punt. Tabo says on the kick coverage issues, they've got to be able to tackle and give maximum effort to tackle. They were better off kicking out of bounds or in the end zones than what they did. Yeah, I mean, obviously. But we just alluded to it earlier. You got to tackle. Maximum effort to tackle. A lot of that to me, I'm in agreement with that. There's got to be more from those guys that are playing on special teams. Not good enough. At all. Bull says on the big plays allowed, they misfit with their positioning. They stepped out of their zone and zone coverage. Small details. They're 11 weeks in. It needs to be corrected. They need more from their edge rushers. He also says it's too early to tell if Hassan Reddick will be in play this week. He also says on the big touchdown allowed with Yaya Diaby all the way down the field, there was a 3-man pass rush. Yaya was in down. That play wasn't on him. He saw Josh Allen going deep and reacted, so he ran down the field. They had other players back there that should have made to play. And then Bull says it's hard to say if Sean Tucker will get more playing time. Even when Bucky Irving comes back, they just go with the hot hand. They play and rotate them all, and whoever gets hot gets the most touches. I know that's what he says, but I don't know if anybody necessarily want to hear that. I don't want to hear about the hot hand. I want to hear the guys playing well, and he's going to play more. Sean Tucker needs to play more. What more do you need to see? When this guy gets more opportunities and more touches, he plays better. What the fuck, man? I don't understand. Come on, dude. Crazy. And you don't know everything either, right? Like we talk about the hip flexor strain with Jamel Dean and why he's come out. As much as we want to say about why guys play more and why guys play less, we have to also keep in context. We don't know the whole story. Is this hip injury something that's been bothering Jamel for the last couple of weeks? Maybe that's the reason why, it's been a nagging injury, and that's why him and Benjamin Morrison have kind of been splitting time. Instead of saying like, oh, Todd doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Like, we don't know. We're not privy to that information. But when he's out there, he's been playing pretty well. Benjamin Morrison, can't really say the same about him. Now, when you look at the NFL, which is kind of crazy, I was checking this out today. Out of the 8 division leaders in the National Football League, only one of them has lost their last game, and that's the Buccaneers, and they've lost their last 2. You look at teams like Denver and teams like the Patriots, and they're on 8-game winning streaks. Eagles are on a 4-game winning streak. And it just seems like these teams that are at the top they're widening the gap. They're widening the gap of what we've seen. And again, New England starts 1-2. They win their next 8. The Colts and the Steelers, they both have won their last game. The Broncos have won 8 in a row. The Eagles 4 in a row. The Bears 3 in a row. 5 in a row for the Rams after their win over the Seahawks yesterday. And if you're the Buccaneers, you kiss your whole hope of a number 1 seed, 2 seed. Yeah, that ain't happening. Win the division, unfortunately, is where your focus is going to be. Looking at some of these other games from yesterday, Giants lose again. They, of course, had the lead, and they blow it once again at home. They fall to 2-9. Jameis Winston throws for 201. Dolphins and Commanders, I told you guys on Friday, there's no chance in hell. If you're not a fan of either one of those teams, you're getting up early to watch that game. It's a battle of 2 and 7 teams, and it was one of the ugliest football games of the year. I hope you had Deebo Samuel on your fantasy team like I did. He got you a good 20. 16-13, Dolphins win over the Commanders. And I tell you what about Miami. They very easily could have packed it in. They very easily could have quit and given up on Mike McDaniel, but they haven't. It hasn't been pretty. And I think they possibly do need to look at what they're going to do with the quarterback situation. But they haven't given in. They've traded away players. They fired their general manager. They could have lost this game. They could have packed it in and not beat Buffalo, but they're grinding it out. And what their effort is looking like over these next 2 months could save Mike McDaniel's job. And it's kind of crazy to say that a couple of weeks later. Panthers with a walk-off field goal, 30-27 over the Falcons. As bad as you may think it is for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at least you're not a Falcons fan. Michael Penix Jr. injured, probably out for the year. We're going to see Kirk Cousins in a couple of weeks. I'm not worried about Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins looks even worse this year than he did last year. I just think back to some of the mistakes that the Falcons have made. And for all the talk about, I can't believe they drafted Michael Penix Jr., I still can't believe they drafted Bijan Robinson. Because what does drafting a running back get? Like, Tyler Algier is still a good player. And when you look at running backs all across the National Football League, and you're getting these guys in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, you already had a running back that didn't have a lot of tread worn off the tires, that was really growing into being a star. And then you go draft Bijan Robinson. And I get it. Bijan's arguably the best running back in the game, but they're 3-7. So who cares about your star running back? He's done nothing. Like, that's nothing. It's nothing. This team would be the same with Bijan Robinson and without him, regardless of how well he's played. But if you would have spent that top 10 pick on, I don't know, a pass rusher, I don't know, maybe another guy in the secondary, a linebacker, anybody, I think they screwed up with the Bijan pick and the Michael Penix Jr. pick. And both those guys could be good, but as far as what your team needed, that's why I don't want to hear about best available all the time. Yeah, take the best available player. Sometimes it works out like it has with the Buccaneers. Fine. But in a situation like the Falcons, to go draft a running back in that situation, like, yeah, it's all sexy if you're playing fantasy football. As far as roster construction, yeah, you're headed home again. And Raheem Morris is going to get bagged. Zach Robinson has done a terrible job. It is what it is. Texans find a way to beat the lowly Titans 16-13, and just a lot of ugly football this week. A lot of ugly football, a lot of weird scores. The Bears win 19-17 as well. They go on the road, win on a game-winning field goal 3 games in a row. They've won. It wasn't the greatest game for Caleb Williams, but shout out to Ben Johnson. They found a way to win. Aaron Rodgers banged up. Steelers still win 34-12. Again, nothing really to write home there. I think maybe one of the biggest shocks of the weekend, the Chargers go from coast to coast like butter and toast to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is another reason why I don't understand when you have these so-called experts telling me how good Justin Herbert is. Justin Herbert was 10 for 18 yesterday and threw for 81 yards on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars. 81 yards. And you're telling me that guy's a top 5 quarterback in the league? Why? Because the way he looks? I don't buy the Chargers at all. Even when they lose, I look at him and I'm like, Didn't they lose to the Giants this year? This team does not play well on the road. I think that's there's 2 putrid performances against the Jags and the Giants. I tell you what, the Bucs may lose, but Baker Mayfield ain't gonna look like that. He may struggle. He ain't gonna look like that. Terrible. Terrible. No good. Not at all. Don't buy Chargers at all. I'm not buying no stock in those guys. Those guys are fugazi as hell. Seahawks, Rams, great finish to that game. What a battle. Seahawks backed up into their own end zone. Sam Darnold finds a way to get him out of the end zone. They set up for a 61-yarder. Myers pushes it to the right, but that's a hell of a football game in that NFC West showdown. Other 2 teams in the NFC West took care of business. 49ers over the Cardinals, 41-22. Jacoby Brissett threw for 452 yards in a loss. He completed 47 of 57. Jonathan Gannon, I thought he was going to be on the way. And how about Wilson? 15 catches for $185. Crushed it in fantasy as well. Ravens win again, 23-16 over the Browns. 3 wins in a row. 4 wins in a row. I said they'll be 7-5 before you know it. And people are going to say, I don't want to play Baltimore. And then 2 statement victories to end the day. The Broncos at home, 22-19 over the Chiefs. Bo Nix threw for 295, and I love the defense, what they were able to do to contain Patrick Mahomes. Even though Travis Kelce went off, that was really all that he could do. Bo Nix, everybody keeps crapping on this guy, but they're 9-2, and they're 6-0 at home. Home field advantage there. It's their division. I think they pretty much got it locked up. We said that weird numerically that the Chiefs were not necessarily counted out, but now you lose this game to the Broncos, you're done. Lions and Eagles, Detroit falls to 6-4. Terrible pass interference call at the end of the game on A.J. Brown. But with that being said, Detroit still only scored 9 points. So even if they get the ball back there, they kicked 3 field goals. Or no, excuse me, they threw for the touchdown. My bad. I forgot about that. Goff threw the touchdown. And then that was it. I mean, you only scored 1 touchdown in that game. So you do that, and you miss the field goal to Jake Bates after the 40-yard touchdown pass to J-Mo. And then it's just pretty much field goals the rest of the way. You know, J-Mo, Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's a battle. It's a battle in Philadelphia. Not easy to win if you're Detroit. But those are the kind of games that you need to win. Those are the games that you need to win. But we'll see. And that's why I said the elite just tends to separate itself from the pack. The Patriots, the Broncos, right? Look at the NFC with the Eagles, and then also with the Bears and the Rams. Why not? I mean, the parity in this league, I don't know if this is necessarily the year for that. It all comes down to coaching, though. You think about those teams and who coaches them, whether you like them or not. Mike Vrabel. You look at Sean Payton. You look at Nick Sirianni. You look at Sean McVay. You look at Ben Johnson. I mean, good coaches, man. They have their ups and downs. We understand that, but the Buccaneers need to turn this thing around because you're going to go to LA next week. You got Puka Nacua. You got Devontae Adams. You got Kyron Williams trying to get Blake Corum involved, and you have Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. McVay bet on himself. He bet on himself and was like, my offense will be better if we trade our former number 1 overall pick, Jared Goff, for Matthew Stafford. Yes, he's older, but I believe if we trade this guy, we will win a Super Bowl. And they did. This guy bet on himself, and look at what it's turned into. The Rams are competitive every freaking year. I think we've been waiting for their demise the last couple of seasons, and we just haven't gotten it. We haven't gotten it. Into the playoffs last year. They're going to make the playoffs again this year. And, we're looking, I feel like we're headed for like a Rams-Ravens Super Bowl. Rams-Ravens? I'm saying it right now. November 17th, 2025. Ravens-Rams Super Bowl. There you go. Because I think Baltimore's on its way. Here they come. Watch out for the Ravens. They're sneaking under the radar. Chiefs aren't going to be there probably. I think that's when you look at the quarterback play, the Bill, right? Like, this could be the year Buffalo and Baltimore finally get over the hump. Maybe not winning a Super Bowl, but to get to one. Because the Chiefs, I think they've shown a couple of dents in the armor. They just don't look the same. They don't have that same type of like aura and invincibility about them. We'll see. All right, on the college side, man, I tell you what, the game that really stood out to me was the Oklahoma win there in Tuscaloosa over Alabama. Not surprised when you look at the AP rankings, and I'm not going to be as closely tuned in as I was last Tuesday, but the AP rankings come out, and what happens to Alabama? Do they fall out of the top 10 after losing to the number 11 Oklahoma Sooners at home? They fall to 8-2 overall, 6-1 in the SEC. Their only other loss obviously came that opening week against Florida State. Alabama fall out of the top 10? No, of course not. Of course not. Number 10, right in front of BYU. It's the same thing when I talk about the SEC runs college football. Because all of the decisions that are made have to do with the teams in the SEC. Teams will stay in the top 25 towards the end of the top 25, just so those wins look better for the other teams in the SEC. Now, will there ever be any like legit proof of that? Where it's like somebody has been voting and there's been backdoor conversations? Nah, maybe. Probably not. But you just watch, and I said this last week, the loser of BYU and Texas Tech were going to fall right behind Texas and Oklahoma, and that's what we saw. Even if it was just for 1 week, that's exactly what we saw. Texas could have lost that game by 50 to Georgia, and they got manhandled. And Georgia, to me, was the most impressive team over the weekend because Texas has some good players, but there's something about Georgia. The onside kick, there's just I love the confidence that they play with. I like the swagger that they play with. Stockton is a guy that usually doesn't really turn the football over. They come at you in waves, and I like that they can beat you in all three phases. I really like Georgia. That's my team. I know that's my team that I'm looking at outside of the top 3 undefeated teams, and I get it now that they're number 4 overall. Of course, they're the team outside of the top 3. I get that, but out of all the other one-loss teams, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, and Georgia, I think they got it right at number 4. I think they'll be at number 4 when the college football playoff rankings come out tomorrow night. But it runs through the SEC. Missouri gets in there. They're 7-3. They're in there after not being ranked last week. Tennessee slides up 1. Texas loses to Georgia, their 3rd loss of the season. Yes, they lost to Florida, and they go down 7 spots, 17. So they're still in there. Vanderbilt at 8-2, they slide up a spot. Alabama, they fall 6 spots from 4 to 10. So the same thing I said last week about how BYU or Texas Tech will be just behind Texas and Oklahoma, it was the same thing this week. Even though Alabama has now lost twice. One loss to Oklahoma and one loss to Florida State, they're still going to be above BYU. There's no way that they're going to have BYU over Alabama in that spot. Not at all. And that goes for if Georgia loses a game or Ole Miss loses a game. It doesn't matter who they lose to. It doesn't matter how many they lose, because you're going to always justify a 2-loss SEC team over a 1-loss team from pretty much every other conference. Unless you're talking about Ohio State, unless you're talking about Notre Dame, even Indiana. Watch what happens if Indiana loses. If Indiana loses this game, if they lose a game, right, they'll go back and say, well, look at the game against Penn State. If they lose this game to Purdue, not this week, they're off this week, next week. If you lose this game to Purdue, you know what they're going to say? They're not going to say, oh, wow, it's their only loss. It's a rivalry game. It's on the road. They'll say, well, we probably should have seen this coming because that game at Penn State should have been a warning sign, regardless of what happens against Wisconsin that they won 31-7. That's exactly what they're going to say because they're not a team from the SEC. They're not. That's exactly what's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. The fight Ian Beckles. I want them to win. But if they lose, watch. Even if it's close, they could lose that game 49-48. Mendoza could throw for 505 touchdowns. They lose that game, they're going underneath Georgia. They're going underneath Ole Miss. They'll be right there nestled at number 5. It'll be Ohio State, Texas A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Indiana. No matter what happens. They'll keep them above Oregon and Texas Tech. They'll say, look, see, we have them above them. They're smart, man. They know the deal, these AP voters. They know who butters their bread. They know. It's the SEC and all the discussion around it. It's never going to change. Not in my lifetime. And it's one of those, it's same thing with Notre Dame. People complain and they bitch and moan. It's like, this is the way it is, man. Follow the money. That's where the money is. Follow the money. Louisville, and you look at the games this week, and I just, if USF wins this game against Navy, Louisville lost. They were the 20th team in the nation. They lost on Friday night to Clemson, so they would have been above them, right? You look at some of these other games towards the back end. Cincinnati, they were 25th. They lost anyway. Tennessee won at 23. Virginia was 19th. They won. Michigan won 2-point win on a walk-off field goal for Zavada. Iowa loses 26-21 to USC, so they would have been out of the top 25. So you look at where USF would have been with a resounding win in their game. Pittsburgh loses to Notre Dame. They were at 22. Jesus, man. They were 24th. If you would have beaten Navy, you would probably be at 19 or 20. You win the next couple of games, you win the conference championship. USF could have been ranked in the top 15. But you're not going to see them in the top 25 for the rest of the year. It's not going to happen. Not with 3 losses. Not in the American, regardless of what those wins look like. And it's not like Florida and Boise State have been crushing it everywhere else. All these talks about these teams in the SEC and all these other teams in college football, and it still goes back to USF. I'm like, shit, man. A&M with a huge comeback, and they're going to stay at 3. That's the way, when you go down, you're down 30-3 at halftime. And I give Elko and just the entire team, Marcel Reed and just all of the Aggies, so much credit battling back all the way. And I watched a good chunk of that game. Texas A&M, could this be kind of an opening of the door of like, all right, well, they could be ripe. They could be ripe for a victory. And you know who they play in 2 weeks? And they play Texas. What happens if Texas wins that game? That's another thing, right? Texas falls to 17 in the AP, right? But if they win that game, they're going to go right back up. If they are the only loss on the schedule for Texas A&M, Texas is going to be right back up in 12th. Texas is going to look at their schedule, and we're going to see they're going to try to find a way to get Texas in there, and they could win that game. Adam, I'm watching you. They could win that game, no doubt. And if Texas wins that game, then what? How far does A&M fall? How high does Texas rise? Because you look at some of their wins. Beating Oklahoma, they beat Oklahoma. College football is crazy, man. This format is just nuts, absolutely nuts. But again, the overriding sentiment, the black cloud that's hanging around college football is just still what happened with USF. All right, a lot of other great things that happened over the weekend, and I want to start with the UFC card because it was one of the best of the year. To watch some of these fights, and it was great because I was able to get home and chill out. And we'll start with the main event, Islam Makhachev over Jack Della Maddalena. Islam, 11th double champion in UFC history. He vacates the lightweight championship at 155 pounds to move up to take on JDM, and this was just an absolute blowout. Only 4 takedowns from Islam, but that's all he really needed. 19 minutes and 10 seconds of control time. It wasn't even close. I just don't see. There's some other guys, and we'll talk about them in a second, that could pose a difference and pose a challenge to Islam. But that ground game, you're working with a guy like Khabib. When he take you down, they don't let you up. This isn't all right. Take down, up, take down, get up, take. And he said, I'm only fighting at 60, 70% at 155, while cutting all that weight. And everybody says that. Who's going to say, oh, they fought worse, right? Or I feel he looked better. He looked like he was in shape more. Bro, I don't know. We could be looking at one of the greatest fighters of all time in Islam Makhachev. We definitely were watching one of the greatest fighters of all time in Valentina Shevchenko. She reminds me so much of a modern day GSP. It is insane. The way that she can just manipulate you and beat you in every facet of the game. Stand up, takedowns, jiu-jitsu. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing because she doesn't always finish the fights. But the fact that Valentina's fought so many different stars. I mean, think about it, man. She fought Zhang Weili. She fought Holly Holm. She fought Amanda Nunes. She's fought the who's who of women in the history of the sport. One of the greatest fighters ever. And I appreciate the sheer dominance. Weili she was just too small, man. She was just too small. She had nothing. She had nothing for Valentina. Michael Morales with the huge defeat over Sean Brady. A lot of people were wondering, all right, this is your big step up in weight. This could be a challenger. I don't think it's going to be him. It could be the fighter that got in the octagon before him, Carlos Pretice, with a huge knockout over Leon Edwards in round 2. Benoit Saint Denis, 16 seconds at the lightweight. Some really, really good fight. How about Bo Nickel with his head kick? A lot of people said, hey, he's just a guy that's going to be able to take you down. No, that didn't happen. Head kick over Rodolfo Vieira. Gregory Rodriguez with an entertaining victory over Roman Kopylov. Aaron Blanchfield with a rear naked choke with a win there. I thought Ethan Ewing and Malcolm Wellmaker, that was another good fight. There was a lot of good fights. If you have an opportunity to go back and watch it, do that because it was incredible. But yeah, obviously the 2 title fights were the big ones there. Really, really good stuff there. Also really good stuff. Kennesaw State yesterday, the Love Wins Classic. USF beats Kennesaw State, but the absolute honor and love that was poured out celebrating our guy, the late great Amir Abdur-Rahim. Again, even when I just mentioned his name, it hurts, man. It hurts. 108-89 victory for USF. These 2 teams will square off next year as well. And man, these Bulls, man, I tell you, 102, 95, 100, 108. They got a big matchup there at Oklahoma State on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock on ESPN Plus, before returning home to take on VCU, Utah State, and Charleston, and then on the road in Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama, UMBC, Georgia College, before they start conference play January 4th against UAB. So good luck to coach Brian Hodgson and the South Florida Bulls. U.S. men's national team with a win as well. Huge goals from Gio Reyna and Flo Balogun. I'm going to tell you this. Gio Reyna, and if you remember the name, not a big soccer fan, remember his dad, Claudio Reyna, longtime international player for the U.S. And Gio has gone to Germany to play for Borussia Dortmund. He's played for a couple teams over there in Europe, and we're just wondering where he fits in. Because he's an attacking midfielder, but they have a couple of other guys in that spot. And he's just, when he gets opportunities, sometimes he doesn't make the most of them. And the attitude, that's been a little bit of a discussion here and there. But he looked really good in that game. And he's got that top-end talent that you're going to need come World Cup time next year. He's got to make this team. And we still really haven't seen this full complement of players under Mauricio Pochettino. But he needs to be out there. He needs to be out there because you combine him. Like, I just think about across, Freeze in goal, Turner in goal, whoever it's going to be, right? You saw our guy Alex Freeman that was out there getting into a little bit of a dust-up at the end of the game, whether it's Serginho, Jedi, Tim Ream, and Chris Richards in the back. You have Tyler Adams, Anthony Robinson. Are you going Musa as well? Or do you play two in the back and then you go with Gio Reyna to go with some of these other guys? Tillman out there, Pulisic out there. Is Pepe out there or Balogun? Tim Weah, right? We have some good options. I just hope Pochettino presses all the right buttons and we get an opportunity to see this whole team together a couple of times before the World Cup, because they're going to need to be firing on all cylinders before we get to that competition. No doubt about it. All right. Anything else that we want to touch on before we roll? Okay. When was this? Was this Friday night? Let's see. It was Friday night. Yes. Okay. Friday night. I'm going to end here. The NBA Cup. Warriors, Spurs was one of the best games that I've seen all year long. November 17th today, 16th, November 14th, 2025. One of the best basketball games I've ever watched. One of the best games all year long. Steph Curry, 49 points to lead the Warriors to a 109-108 victory over Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. Wemby, 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks. He's just a freak of nature, man. He changes the game so much. Guys are terrified to go into the paint. He affects so many decisions of players getting into the lane. It's you have to watch it to really appreciate it. It's insane. It's nuts. But Steph Curry turning back the clock and just made winning play after winning play after winning play. Again, he's another one of those guys. He's not getting any younger. Appreciate the greatness of Steph Curry because he's not going to be here forever. But just to see the best shooter of the best, think about that. Right now, we are in the midst of maybe other sports. There's other things that you could talk about where it's like a question mark. It's debatable, right? You'll have the LeBron, Michael Jordan, right? You'll have that type of thing. You look at some other sports and say, well, this guy may be as good as this guy, that guy, whatever. But right now, we have two of the best players in the history of their respective sports at what they do. Still going right now. There has never been a better goal scorer than Alexander Ovechkin, the greatest goal scorer of all time. There has never been a better shooter of the basketball than Steph Curry. Just the way it goes. And we are so fortunate to be able to watch them do what they do. A lot of other things debatable in sports. There's no better goal scorer, no better shooter than Ovechkin and Curry. And they're both champions too. So first ballot Hall of Famers for both those gentlemen, fathers, husbands, and also one team athletes, right? Yeah, with the Warriors and the Capitals. I hope that they stay there. I don't see either one of those guys going anywhere else. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me. A big thank you to our guy Ian Beckles for joining us on the program. Always good to catch up with him. Let's see what else we got on the program. Yeah, we'll figure out what we're going to do for the rest of the week. Again, we got a full week of shows. And then next week, I'll probably take off. I'm going to listen to Eddie. I'll probably take all next week off since I'll be at a wedding and I'll be out of town. Instead of lugging all my stuff with me so I don't have to travel, because I'll have to travel with my equipment to the wedding and then back to New York. I'm just going to take the week off for next week. Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate you and I love you. And a big thank you to Eddie and Chan and Eddie again for the super chats. Couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate Honest Hammer and Ever Health, our partners as well. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Talking CFP on Wednesday. You know it, buddy. You know it. We'll get into it. And I guarantee you that Alabama will be above BYU. No doubt about that. Again, at Recher on all social media platforms. It wasn't a victory Monday, man, but we did our best covering it all. 2 hours of content from wall to wall, touching on everything that happened in sports over the weekend. I love you all. I appreciate you all, man. Thank you so much for the support. Be well. Happy Monday. We'll see you tomorrow at noon right here on the Recher Podcast.